It's a beautiful day, isn't it? And we know that we all wake up from somewhere we call it shelter. Indeed, shelter remains one of the very important, needs of man. If you go to Maslow pyramid of need, you will find it right there at the basement. After food, shelter. After food, clothing, shelter comes next. That's how important it is. And beyond providing a safe place for man, it also serves a lot of reasons, a lot of purpose, including the aesthetic purposes and a state of status, if you ask me, especially for people in urban cities. Now, given the facts that it is a very important need of man, it should be as common, as rampant as it should be, and also as affordable as it should be. But then within certain cities, especially here in Abuja, and I know also somewhere in Port Harcourt and Lagos and some other places, Kano inclusive, it is no longer a child's play. It is no longer all-comers affair. My question is, why? In Abuja, for instance, I'm told that there are several, empty houses, yet people are looking for places to live. We're going to be discussing rents in Abuja and its environs. But I do have people who are going to be talking with me on this particular topic. Let's start from the ladies. Hello, lady.
My name is Hawa Mahmoud Adam, and I'm happy to be here this morning to discuss issues affecting all of us.
Okay, it's affecting everybody. And I have one of the persons who is, quite vibrant with his voice on the operations of certain people within this environment. I'll let him speak his voice. Hello?
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being on the show this morning.
Okay, and your name is?
My name is Engineer Ndubisumen Nadine.
Okay, are you one of those engineers that constructs or those that destroy?
No, we construct, actually. Yeah.
All right, we're going to hit the street now to, get the experiences of certain people in Abuja. In fact, they are actually just a sampled population of people in Abuja who have shared experiences of, they are trying to get a house or a shelter in Abuja, so to speak.
Okay, so I moved to Abuja about a year ago, and then I immediately started looking for accommodation. First of all, it took so long because it's very difficult to find a suitable accommodation in Abuja, and at the end of the day, you have to compromise. Now, let's talk about the rates. When I came here, I had a budget, a modest budget, but I soon found out that you cannot get a suitable accommodation for that price because Abuja house rents are so high compared to other states. It is it is a lot on the high side. This is very discouraging for people who want to move here, for people such as youth corpers, humble civil servants. A humble man cannot afford a decent accommodation in Abuja. You have to have a sum of money put down somewhere. Now, I know rent is usually a lump sum, but it's outrageous in the sense that sometimes they demand 2 years rent in advance, and then the other exorbitant charges such as agent fees, legal, makes it very hard to pay for. So accommodation in Abuja is very hard to find. It's super expensive, and then there's outrageous rates. And let's talk about the agents. They can be very manipulative. They will take you to see a house that has already been paid for, and then when you say, they will pressure you, are you ready, so that they can collect their agency fee. So they can take you to like 5 houses in a day, and you have to pay agency fee for all these houses, maybe 10K, 20K here and there, so that they can feed their pockets. Knowing well enough that on the side that they could have sold the houses to someone else, or someone could have paid the rent. So when you tell them, oh, I'm ready to pay for this rent, they tell you it's taken. How many people are taking the houses? So this has happened so many times that it begs the question of, are these houses even free from the beginning? So yes, agents contribute, the landlords contribute by demanding 2-year rent, and thirdly, the houses, some of them are not even fit to live in. It took me to one house that they were still knocking wood, and then there was the wall, the walls were terrible, the floors were terrible, and they were telling me it's 1.5 million for a house that looks like a carcass. So in this Abuja, I think that it's very discouraging for people with normal livelihoods, except if you are doing something that is maybe not as honest. It is very hard.
I had an encounter with some agents. I've been hearing of them, but I don't know their motive. A friend of mine asked me to look for a house very close to my house, my area. Then I contacted an agent. Then I gave them the specification of what we want, the area we want. Then all of a sudden, it's okay. You ask us to go and they are normal character that we should go and see a place, a house. Then I asked, no, this is a place I want. All of a sudden, we are traveling, following them, and then they're on bike. Two of them going without ending. The specification of what we want, they have exceeded the place, and I called, they are not picking. So all of a sudden, I asked my friend, we should turn back home. They called us back and said, and what happened? I said, you are not serious. I don't know their motive, but all I know is that I know some of these people can be very dubious. I don't know whether they're taking me for other things to meet an umbrella or just to make money out of us. That is the story. Then.
And it's crazy the kind of things we hear. You know, the one that blows my mind is the agent's problem. You know, how can somebody just to get a house, you give a specification, and agent now begin to throw you around, toss you around like you're a pack of ball. What how do we go about? Maybe I should start with NBC.
Okay, most times in such situations, you realize that they might not meet up to your demand or expectation. So in a situation like that, such agent might have collected what we call inspection fee.
Or viewing fee.
Yes, inspection fee. It's called, it's the same
Okay,
thing. Yeah. So in such scenario, they really need to deliver. So whereby looking for something of your standard, they need to give you something.
Wow.
Yes. And knowing fully well that what they want to give you doesn't really meet up to the requirement, but they want to convince you and they are keen about their percentage. Your choice is not their problem.
And these monies must always come, whether or not you
Yes,
get...
because they are running costs most times. Recharge card, transportation, it comes from
Should it
inspection
not be
fee.
part of what they get as agency
There's
fee?
every possibility that after they're running around, you might not still take the house. So they need something from you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eventually, when they sell the house.
They'll still take the money.
Have you had any experience?
Yeah, yes, so many experiences. Like there are this particular set of people running like as agents in different angles. Some of them are not even qualified to be real agents of properties, but they just need to survive in Abuja and other cities as well. But I think it's more popular in Abuja. Like these agents, as engineer rightly said, they need this to extract money from their clients. So they use that inspection fee to get something. At least, even if the deal is not sealed, they will still get something out of the that particular person. And there is this guy that I know. He's an agent, and he run on that inspection money he collect from this. You just go and show the person. Highest, you spend like 10-15 minutes showing the property. If the person is not interested, you bring in another person. That's a business on his own.
And
So
he
it's
will
really
collect as much as
profitable.
15,000.
Yes. The percentage, they will just, they'll tell you, some collect up to 50,000, depending on the kind of property actually.
50,000 just to go and view?
Just to inspect. It depends,
depends on the
location.
location.
Property and location.
Because it's not one person that is actually eating this money.
They share.
It's one agent talk to another, another talks to another. It's network. So the network, at that process, if I bring in a business as an agent, I already know that you, before now, you normally bring in business. So there is a modus operandi, there is procedure. So when I bring business, I need to call you out. I need to fund you. That's how you can facilitate it and make it fast. So it's business as usual.
The way you're talking, my mind tells me you've done agency work.
Agents, not per house. Maybe property.
And you have collected people's view?
No. We don't take inspection fee when it comes to property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's only for
It's
house.
houses that they do inspection
All right.
fee. Yes.
That's crazy.
For
but
rent, for shops.
Yes.
Things like
house
that.
or shops?
Yeah.
Okay. But my problem is really a civil servant is transferred to Abuja, and the first thing you do is you try to get a place to stay, so you move in with your family, and we all know how much salaries are. No, even if you're paid 1 million, you have other bills, not just accommodation, to take care of. School fees, house rent, light, and all of that. Feeding is a different thing entirely. And then you come in. Your office, one would expect to be able to function very well. Our office is in Area 11. One would expect that I should be able to live in Area 11. But it's a no-no. I have to go to places like One Man Village, Massacre, and all those places, which the houses are okay, but the commuting time is just killing on your body and on the government time itself. Yes, even your car business. And at the end of the day, we come in this environment. They ask us to pay so much. I'll take a breather, briefly, and when we come back, you have to answer these questions for me.
Okay.
I was transferred from my local village to the Federal Capital Territory. Beautiful place. I loved it and I look forward to working there. My office, Federal Secretariat, I had hoped I'll be able to find a house there to live, but no, all the houses there were just something else. They run in millions, 20 million, 25 million, 15 million, 9 million. And at a point, I also noticed that a lot of them were empty. I wondered why. Even the estates, a lot of estates were empty. The owners didn't seem to mind. It was a sort of concern for me. To get a house, you really need to move off the city to be able to find houses, and then you drive until you're tired. My question is, who are the owners of all these abandoned houses? Don't they mind? They're wasting money. And they're also causing problems. Is Abuja really designed for the civil servant or for, I don't know?
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We swear in colors, we stand down in demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthened in unity. We know they carry life. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
Okay, while we're taking that breather, we had somebody sneaking, and he actually sneaked in on us, but we decided to bring him to the fore, and we'll let you introduce yourself by yourself.
Okay, my name is Ekene Ugotangod. by the special grace of God, I'm the managing director of Double King Estate Limited, Gariki office.
Okay, so we have been talking about real estate and agents and all of that. So being who you are, I'm pretty sure that you understand the rules of agents, you know. And I'm wondering, I'll ask you directly, why do we have these fluctuations in house rent in Abuja?
Okay, you know, like I said, I'm from Double King Estate Limited, and then first thing first, our mission is to provide genuine and affordable housing properties within the shores of Abuja, and of course outside Abuja, to reduce the housing deficit in Africa and also in Nigeria. Now, one of the major challenge we have in Abuja is the high demand of housing properties in Abuja. So, and then by God's grace, what the government is doing currently is actually helping us, because they are making provision for people to developers to own some piece of land so that they can actually develop within the city center and of course outside the city center. And of course, like in Double King, what we do is not just only to develop, we also center to the public and civil servants so that it could help them to, you know, over time, with the little funds they have, they cannot just, you know, be just tenants. They can also own their own property too, within the city center and of course outside the city center.
You also target civil servants?
Yes, civil servants.
Okay,
yes.
so I can, even if I'm earning 100,000 naira a month, there's hope for me to have a house.
Perfectly, yes.
Why not? Hearing that?
So we'll see you after.
Why not? You can. Yes, you can.
Okay,
yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So when we go back to where we were just before you came in, Hajia, I was wondering, a lot of times the way the agents operate is quite scary. One of the young ladies narrated her experience of getting to a place to view a house, and they continued moving. Okay, that wasn't a lady, it was a man. They continued moving up to a tarred road, and he got scared. Luckily, his sixth sense saw ahead of him, and he made a U-turn. You know, and they began to pursue him. I don't know. How do we address this?
Actually,
just to go and view a house.
Sometimes, you know, there are different kind of people. Whatever we want to do, especially with these security challenges in Nigeria, we need to look for genuine people that have their office. We can trust them anytime to show like they are into the real business, not any other person that will just tell you, come, let me show you a place, because sometimes they don't even have a place, but they just want something out of you. So they might, you give the specification, I want a 2-bedroom flat with this so amenities, facilities, and location, but the person might end up taking you somewhere else because he just wants to collect that money from you. He wants to.
That's if he's not looking for body parts.
It's not like the person is interested in what you really are interested in, but he's just interested in what he's going to get out of you. So we have to just be very smart, especially people coming from another states, maybe being transferred into Abuja or something like that. They need to be very, very smart and careful for their own safety and their own, interests as well.
You know what? I even advised one young lady that was going through that. I said, whenever you're going out to inspect anything, try to go with a friend.
Yeah.
And
share location.
Once you get there, call me on the phone, and I'll make sure the people know you've called me. And please don't cut off the call until you're done and out, so that way I can easily track whatever you're doing and raise alarm.
If possible, share your location.
Share the location. Of course, when I'm talking with you, especially if on this thing, a network, your location is clearly written. But then, Mrs. Thank God, I'd like to know, how do I know the real agents or management and the fake? How do we begin to tell? Because a lot of them have led Nigerians or Abuja people astray. How do we tell the difference?
Exactly, very importantly. Now, over time, with my experience in the business, there are a lot of things I've told subscribers, I've told prospects, and of course clients that comes to my office. And I will tell them that one of the easiest things to do in this line of real estate is to sell the land. Very easy. In fact, as a matter of fact, with your maybe 1 year, 2 years experience in the business, if you are given a particular piece of land to go and sell, it's quite very easy. But another thing that is very important is for you to develop that land. We have a lot of land sellers in Abuja, but we have few developers, genuine developers. Now, and that's why the government, thank God for the FCT minister, he has been putting up his best to make sure that every empty landed space is having some presence of infrastructure. Now, how do you get to know these people? Is one, when you come into a real estate company, the first thing you ask them is their trademark. Their trademark. Aside the one that you said there, the government said we should not move currently because they want to provide some basic infrastructure for you to connect and start up yours in your own piece of land. What other real estate estate have you developed? Or even though that is your first one, which company have you partnered with? Which government parastatal have you partnered with to develop a particular land or a particular piece of land given to you by the parastatal or by the government? Now, with this way, you can actually check the track record. Because one thing first is integrity that builds standard. The transparency is involved in this kind of business we do. And then, of course, at the end of the day, there will be accountability, which is not the visibility of what people are seeing. And then by that way, they can know that, yeah, these people, even though we entrust millions of naira into their hands, I can tell you for true that they will deliver. So over time, people don't get to do proper due diligence to check the track record of a certain developer. Because that's
There is
another
some
thing.
developers have actually in the past
Yes.
dealt with people. They tell you they're going to do this.
Yes.
People that have assumed integrity.
Yes.
At the end of the day, they don't get to give you. Even if it's 90% of what was agreed.
Exactly.
How do you handle that bit?
Okay, good. Now, another thing again, I want to say on this is that they have 3 segments of investment. And if you go to any office to have a transaction with them, you must be careful to understand the dimension of that particular project. If you want to buy a project in a certain area where the government have not provided a certain infrastructure and you are buying to build, it becomes a big problem, because at the end of the day, developers will keep telling you there's some infrastructure that developers can't do, that the government have to do before exactly. So they cannot just do it. Like, for example, the new trading area now in Abuja, which is the Maitama 2. They have dimensions of the Maitama 2, and people are pushing to that direction, all for the sake, especially people in diaspora, that believe that, okay, they want to have something in the country. And at the end of the day, you will now hear the name Maitama 2. Unknowing to you, Maitama 2 is just a new allocation that has been done, and some kind of infrastructure has not got into that place. And you quickly put in your money, hoping that in 2026, when you're back to the country, you will start building.
It's not yet ready.
And it's not yet ready. So these are 3 things. First thing first is that know whether the property is for land banking, know whether the property is for land retailing, because this is another dimension that so many land
What's
investors
the difference?
perfectly well. Now we have 3 stages. The first stage is land banking, the second stage is land retailing, and the last stage is land development. Now, the land banking is when you buy a piece of land from a developer, you leave it for a long period of time and allow it to appreciate and get return, ROI, at the end of the day. The time duration doesn't really matter. But now, for the land retailing is when you buy in bulk. Just like when somebody is buying a crate of mineral, and you are buying in just a single bottle. When you're buying a crate, if you try to segment them in bottle, it becomes a bit cheaper for you, buying wholesale. So when you buy in bulk, at the end of the day, you start selling in bit. Because as the entire area where the land is begin to see some kind of visibility of infrastructure, it tends to appreciate the land mass and the piece of land you own inside the estate. So that is what land retailing, and that's what I advise every land investor to go into. When you buy in bulk, you tend to get some kind of a discount from the developer.
That's an investor now.
Exactly. So later on, you can now start selling a bit. Then the land development is the one that, every land is buy and build. That is just the difference between the one that you cannot build now is just the time. When you say a land is not buy and build, it's buy and build, but it could just be time. So the one for development is the one you buy immediately. There's presence of infrastructure on the land, and then definitely immediately you can now start building. So if you know the dimension and the categories of all this, it will help you to understand that, okay, if a developer is telling you that we are going to the south on this project, we are going to the south, and you just know from the onset. So at the end of the day, you don't have to be going front and back with them. And it will be easier for you to also detect that this is a real developer, and this is somebody that is just giving you some kind of fantasy.
Okay, I'll still come back to you because I need to hear more on still how to know which one is for which.
Exactly.
Because I see land, I like land, I buy, you know, and I need to start building. So you give me an idea of basic steps to take. But then I was talking to the BC again on a high cost of rent. You linked it up with agents, and I wasn't too sure of what that meant.
Yes.
You want to explain
In terms
that?
of rent, let me use Abuja as an example.
Okay.
Most times, many landlords don't actually know the value of a particular area at a time. And sometimes it's not as if they don't know. A landlord can choose to leave his rent, maybe if the area is 2 million at that moment. But an agent will come and let you understand that your neighbor is renting at 5 million. It's either from the agent or from your lawyer. Now, an agent who is renting your house at 2 million is taking percentage from 2 million. Most time, they are keen what they make. Sometimes, a greedy agent doesn't really care about the percentage. What they want is that inflation, to increase the rent, eat what is on top of it, and automatically, they've created new rent for you. They've just hiked your rent for you. Because if you put for 2 million, and an agent rent the house for you for 4 million and take 2 million, automatically next year you're taking your 4 million. So it's business. So
the higher the rent, the better for the agent.
Yes,
and
the better for the same thing with land, same thing with properties. The higher it is. An agent that wants to sell a property of like maybe let's say Double King is selling for 50 million. They can sell for 100 million. They're not caring about percentage.
You have one for 50 million.
Yeah, we do.
Just a
documentation, of course.
So they're no longer keen about the interest again because there is amount of money you put in the land. There won't be interest for you. So it's what you now put that you take. So it's just agents and lawyers that are actually the problem.
And
Okay. You're exonerating landlord.
I mean, the higher the rent, the higher the percentage the agents are taking.
Yes.
So if at all the rent is 2 million, they are going to take like 10 to 15% or 20% of the rent. Then if it is 4 million,
yes.
automatically their percentage will increase and then they will make a lot of money.
It
So they are
makes
just
sense. It's just like any market.
Yes.
The middlemen will always create that
exactly.
problem, and the agents are the middlemen.
That's
But
it.
do you work with agents as well?
Yes, I do. We do. But what we've done over time is, when we started the project, one of our projects in Guzapetu, we call it Double King Villa Guzapetu. When we started, we noticed something because I started my operations from the site. There are three major departments that build the real estate world, which is the site, the BDD department, which is more or less the department that houses the marketers, as people call it. And then, of course, you need to go global, the ICT department. So I worked at the site, which is more or less like the outdoor part of it. So most times when the prospect comes to the site, when we are done explaining the sites to them, and they'll be like, is there another fee outside this? They call it hidden charges. Is there another hidden charges that I need to pay outside the value of the plot? I will just tell them, no, the only thing you need to do is that, of course, we're going to make provision for the infrastructure. Because the value of what you have with us in the future is dependent on the value of the infrastructure we give. So if the infrastructure is not up to standard, it intends to reduce the value of the plot or the house inside the estate. So the infrastructure is what gives light to the building. So we just tell them,
Infrastructure including the road,
exactly,
water,
the road, the network, the drainage, the sewage system, depending whether it's going to be underground or just an open drainage. So we intend to tell them that is just what you pay. And then, of course, there's something we call excavation and setting out. And that one is, in a layman's language, just like digging of the foundation. So that is just what we do. And that's
excavation and setting out. Why don't you just call it DPC now?
Deep. Okay, yes, putting out the DPC and all that, exactly. So that is just all what we do, and we just tell them. But they will go further to tell us that I spoke to a certain agent, and the agent was asking me for agency fee. And I'll be very much surprised. And later on, we needed to have a conference with our partners, and we had to tell them that, see, this is what we do. So it boils down to, just like what engineer rightly said, it boils down to the owner of the house. You understand? If somebody is coming to, somebody renting your own apartment should be able to have access to the landlord. And that is what the agents do. They don't give you access to the landlord. They withdraw that leverage from you. And they'll be like, hey, you want to do anything, do it directly. In fact, they go further to tell you, you have to pay directly to me, so that I will be the middleman to pay now to the landlord. And you stay in the house for like 4 or 5 years. You get not to see the landlord. and something will be happening at the house. You don't even know. Maybe at the end of the day, there's a way landlord behave most time. They'll be like, oh, they don't want this gender, they don't want this set of person, they don't want this personality. And when they now come from maybe in a particular place and come to their house, and they'll be like, I said I don't want somebody like this, and before you know, the person will be giving quick notice and all that. It becomes a problem between the agent and the landlord and also the tenant. So I think,
completely believe you, because I know when I came to Abuja, that's years back, and somebody told me, the agents of the place, I went to a house and my spirit connected with the house, and I told myself I was going to live here. It was an estate. So I spoke with the agents and manager at the moment. He told me that he wasn't going to let me get the place because the landlord will not like me. And I said, why? He said, because I'm Igbo.
Exactly.
The man is
Tribalism.
Yoruba, he does not like
Exactly.
Igbos.
That's true.
That got me really intrigued.
Exactly.
I needed to know this man who is liking people based on tribe, because I didn't believe it was true.
Yes.
So I found out the man's address, secretly. I went to his office. At the time, his office was in First 40 Hotels. And it was amazing because First 40 Hotels at the time was owned by an Igbo man. So when you don't like Igbo man and Igbo people and you're living in their district, I said this is an interesting story. It was my colleague who actually followed up with me. We went there and I went in there. The man did not ask me my tribe. He did not ask me anything. And I paid and moved in. And up until he died during the outset of COVID, God bless his soul, we were still the best of friends. Do you understand? He saw me as his own daughter, and we related very well. If he entered the estate, before he comes, he's going to call me, Madam, are you around? Can you make me juice? Let me drink. I want to be like you. I will just laugh. And I'll make sure his juice is ready. It's only in my house he comes in to sit down. And that was what an agent was trying to cause a problem. So agents in Nigeria, I think there should be a school, a university for agents.
Exactly, of course, exactly.
Because they are doing more evil than good. They are also good ones.
And most times you can't still deal with. You can't deal without them.
That's what I'm saying.
You
I'm
can't
not
deal
saying they should be
without
removed.
them.
They should just be tutored. That's all.
But that agent was like trying to put a barrier between you and the landlord.
He was trying to get money.
Interest.
He said he doesn't like
and
Igbos,
which is a very bad.
but if I can give him certain amount of money, he will go and pay and convince the man for me to move in. So that was actually what gave me an idea that he's fraud.
He's fraud, yes.
So I had to start fighting it on my own. But going back to what you started earlier, I did tell you that I will come back to you. How do I know which land is for development, which land is for rentage?
Yes, retailing.
Retailing,
yes.
And which house is for building?
Yes, exactly. Okay, like I said earlier, we have 3 stages of investment in the real estate sector, which is the land banking, land retailing, and of course, land development. Now, how do you get to now know these things? First thing first, once you want to acquire any property, it's very important that you work first thing first with your legal team. It's very important, very, very important, because I usually tell people that in as much as we want to make things, everybody to own property in Abuja, you still need to be very careful, because Abuja and Lagos currently is one of the places that people want to invest in. And a lot of, just the way we have good people, we also have people who are ready to, defraud you, so to say. Now, how do you get to know all these things? When you get to a particular site, the first thing you look at is what the site persons do. Like, this is the area I've worked before, and I've trained a lot of people on that aspect. I usually tell them, you don't go about telling people what your company is to offer at the site. You tell them what government is to provide, because there's a level of what you can do at that area. You are not the only developer in that axis. In the entire Guzapetu, for example, where a lot of persons want to buy property, we have a lot of developers there. And there are basic infrastructure currently that the government is doing that it will be difficult for any developer to do, because it's capital intensive. Now, how do you get to know? When you go to that place, you look at the level of the infrastructure currently on ground. That will not tell you that if the company is telling you that it's buy and build, you already tell them that with my experience, one, there's no road network here. It's just a track road, an open road. Secondly, there is no power supply. So how do you intend to bring AEDC to this place? Of course, except you want to have a 247 power supply, which is highly impossible in this country for now, for any developer to do. And there is any water supply, because there are some areas that are rocky areas that to bring
Dig
out
a
water,
borehole.
dig a borehole becomes very difficult. And engineer can actually testify to the fact that it's not even advisable for you to have multiple boreholes in a certain area because of the earth crust. So with this way, you can detect that this area is for land banking. Like somebody taking you to for their areas in Karishu Orozo, and the person is telling you that you can buy and start building immediately, like I'll sketch part of it. Of course, it's not possible. But there are places where you can look at and say, no, if the government has provided up to 40% of the infrastructure, it can be for land retailing.
Okay.
It might not really be for land development immediately.
Okay.
If it's the government just did the layouts and they've not provided anything, that is land banking. But if it's a place where you already see that yes, people are already living inside, of course, it's land development.
What's the duration or the space, the period, however you put it, between land retail and land development?
Okay, good. Now, we'll just do it scale of 1 to 10. I'll just do it that way. Now, when there's no presence of infrastructure in a particular area, that is land banking. At all, like if it's 0%, that is actually land banking. Now, of course, there's a way some developers do. They can actually own, for example, about 100 hectares, and they can decide to segment them into these portions. They can have areas like what we usually do most time when we have large hectares of land, we do deal with clusters. If you go to, there's an estate in Lugbe, I think it should be River Park or so. Yes, they do it in clusters. So there are some clusters that can be classified to land banking. There are some that can be done for land development. Now, what we usually do so that it will help to upgrade what we have on ground is that when you're entering the estate, we don't want to do land banking at the frontal part of the estate. We can decide to do land development at the frontal part, then at the center part we do land retailing, then at the ending part we do land banking. So that when you're entering the estate, you will not be, the first thing you will be seeing will not be a farmland. Because if you are buying 600 square meter that is for a fully detached, that you have to fence, have your own privacy, what you do is that if it's in frontal part of the estate, you want to fence it, and because you're not ready, you want to start farming inside, and it will not appreciate, it will disvalue the entire estate. So
That's a good one.
Yes.
So we'll take a breather, go speak to a lawyer on certain implications of rentages in Abuja, and of course, tenant and landlord relationship. We'll be right back.
Thank you very much. Usually, the tenancy agreement will between the landlord and tenant will specify the rent review clause, which will give the landlord the right to increase rent, but the landlord has to inform the tenant before he does that. Usually, if the agreement is silent on the time frame within which to inform the tenant, then it's usually the time in which the quit notice is given. So if it is a yearly tenant, it's a 6-month notice to be given to the tenant before he increases the rent. But states like Lagos State already have a law in place. That's the tenancy law of Lagos State, 2011. Section 37 of that law stipulates that a tenant can take the landlord to court for an arbitrary increase in rent. And this means that he can complain to the court that the landlord just raised his rent without regard to the current rent in place in that area. And the landlord is prevented from ejecting the tenant while that case is going on. Well, in the FCT, usually there is no law in place, but there are policies like the FCTA has a policy of triple ground rent for empty unoccupied premises, and that means that the person will be made to pay 3 times the ground rent of that property if it is empty. But usually it is silent, and it leaves much to be desired in that respect, because there are so many houses, as you said, that are lying so empty. And it will be a good thing that the government does something about it, or the legislators put together a law that will regulate such empty houses lying fallow.
Landlord and tenant.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We sway in colors, with undoubted demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry love. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
we're back and we're still on this very topic. We're going to add something before we
I said,
take a
adding
break.
to what Double King said. Coming
You're actually changing his name to Double King.
Ekene, Ekene. Yes.
It's the same
It's
business.
the same thing,
Same
yes.
thing, yes.
I'm Double
Company
King, I'm Double
name
King.
and his
Yes,
name
I'm
is
Double
still
King,
the
yes.
same thing. So yes.
Yeah.
Adding to that, in such areas, you can't buy. Most times when you buy in such places, you say like River Park, they don't allocate your land to you because they don't know if you want to develop now. So you have your paper of allocation, but your exact land have not been allocated to you because they don't know if you are ready. So they allocate to people that are ready to build. So that's just as you say, it's cluster by cluster.
Development
Yeah,
part.
develop-
Yes,
exactly,
for the development
exactly,
part.
exactly.
Because they might allocate to you and they are not ready to build. You will devalue the place.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a
so
good one.
that's the
All right,
thing.
so we learn every day. Hadia,
Yeah.
I'll still go back to you. And we have been on the landlords, the developers, and all of that. I still want to go back to the tenants. I know in your job, your line of duty, you work a lot with very down-to-earth people. And some of them, you told me, you extract them from abandoned buildings. What are your experiences with such people?
Actually, you know, in Nigeria, we have like 3 categories of people now. We have the
I'm sure we're not more than 3. Because Nigeria has divided so much.
so many people in different categories. Okay, we have the advanced people, the urban people, we have the middle class and the grassroots people. And then these grassroots people that we usually deal with, most of them are the IDP people. Those that are being displaced from their original places, now looking for shelter in Abuja and its surroundings, and then other parts of the country as well, especially the northern. We deal with the people from northern part of the country where we can access them for security reasons. So these people, usually you find out that they occupy uncompleted buildings because they cannot afford to rent, actually. And you see that those areas are not conducive for people to live in because of security challenges. This time around, not the usual crisis that send them away from their houses, but you find out that they are like sexual assault.
Sexual assault?
Yes.
Oh,
And
chicken.
so
All
all
right.
these things, we need to. They need education as well.
We will definitely continue
They
to
need
talk
education.
until we get it right. And before we go, I'd like to find out from NDBC. We did mention earlier that a lot of empty houses in Abuja
Yes.
are waiting for occupancy. How do we get them, filled up? I know you have not sold houses, but you have sold land.
No, there are many factors behind those ones.
Don't tell me money laundering.
Yes, it's part of it. So those are part of it. So there are some, no matter what, you can't get them to be filled up. Then some that are in the center, at the heart of Abuja. How many people can you get to afford such houses?
How do we crash?
There are some things that are uncrashable. It's individual. Like if I own a place, and if I choose not to rent it out, I want it to be there. Maybe I use it once in a year, so it's my property.
Okay, let's.
You can compare me to build, but you cannot compare me to put somebody in the house.
Wow. Let's touch base with. You call him Double King.
Yes.
Let's touch base with Double King and find out. I'm going to get it 2 prongs. How do we crash house rent in Abuja to make it affordable? And then if I want to own my land, as little as my money is, what's my baby step?
Okay. First thing first, I am trusting the process that is currently on. That in the next 5 years, there will be a lot of crash. There will be a lot of crash in terms of availability of houses in Abuja. In fact, there will be a lot of availability of houses. That is not the truth. Now, take for example, earlier before this government, the issue of Kuje was just, when you mention Kuje to people just look at Kuje, no, that place is far. But I must tell you now that currently, with what is happening in Kuje, Very soon, Kuje will be one of the most happening area in Abuja. So that will actually help people. Now, I was discussing with somebody the other day, and the person was telling me, do you know why you usually have a lot of traffic projecting towards the CBD axis? Because the government parastatal is centered in this area. You can imagine when we now spread these things, there will be a lot of development. Now, another thing again is, how do you now get access to at least a piece of land with low income? I'm telling you, in fact, it's 100% possible. Now,
wow, that's a good one.
100% possible. There's something that people don't. Each time those days when we try to talk to people about buying land, immediately you just mention, no, I don't have money. No, this one is 2 million and all that. There's what we call payment plan. Everybody knows that, and a lot of companies that have actually made that easy. And
these payment plans are not easy. They'll tell you first deposit 2 million.
Okay.
Then installation payments,
Exactly.
1 million. My salary is 500.
Yeah.
How is that going to work?
That's what I'm trying to say. That a lot of companies have made it easier. Like, for example, if you come to Double King Estate Limited, we've tried as much as we can to reduce this issue of time durations. The types of payment. So if you make the first initial deposit, the next one is on your own convenience.
Like how many percent
Like
initial?
you can pay as low as 30%. As low as 30% to the company's account, and you can spread the other one. If you get to a period where you cannot meet up, if it's 6 months, 3 months, as the case may be, you can write to the office, and an extension will be given to you.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Without percentage?
Yes, without any additional charges.
Are you
That's the
sure?
truth.
Are you sure? In
Yes,
Nigeria, without additional
It's
charges.
Nigerians.
No problem.
Okay, is that right? So that's it for us on this topic, and we believe that we'll be able to learn a whole lot. If you're an agent, please agent well. If you're a landlord, landlord well. If you're a tenant, tenant well.
Yeah.
So this country belongs to all of us, and the higher we try to make it difficult for others, the more difficult it becomes for all of us involved. We'll see you next time while we continue to be good citizens.